"Where is he?" you demanded, voice echoing across the high ceilings. No one dared to answer at first. You could feel their hesitation, their fear. Finally, Mac, Jungkook's right hand, stepped forward, carefully measured. "Boss isn't home yet, Mrs. John," he said, his tone respectful. "He's in a meeting downtown." "Of course he isn't," you snapped, pacing like a caged flame. You turned sharply, eyes narrowing at the group of men huddled near the staircase. "But you were there. Don't play dumb with me. I know what you did." The men shifted uncomfortably, exchanging wary glances. One finally tried to defend himself. "Mrs. John, with all due respect, it was just business. The boss gave no order, but we—" "Business?" You cut him off, your voice venomous. "You call disobeying him business? You call betraying his trust business? Do you idiots have a death wish?" You slammed your palm onto the dining table, the crack echoing through the room. One of the glasses trembled, tipping dangerously before shattering onto the floor. The men stiffened, none daring to breathe too loudly. "Jungkook builds empires with precision, with loyalty," you hissed, glaring at them. "And you think you can make dirty little side deals behind his back? If you think he won't find out, then you don't know my husband at all." The fire in you was so wild that even the armed men, who usually without hesitation, couldn't meet your gaze. Just then, Mac carefully stepped in again. "Mrs. Jian, let the boss handle it when he returns. You shouldn't— Don't tell me what I shouldn't do." You cut him sharply, eyes blazing. "This is my house too. His empire is mine as well. If Jungkook isn't here to see the betrayal and his own men, then I'll make sure he hears it from me the second he walks through that door." You stood tall, chest heaving, fire untamed. But beneath all that fury was something only Jungkook could touch. The men knew it. They glanced at each other, silently praying for their boss to return quickly, because only he could calm the storm currently tearing through the mansion. "Mrs. Jian, please, you don't understand. It was just a negotiation. No harm done." The next sound was the crash of a crystal vase shattering against the wall, narrowly missing his head. "Negotiation?" you spat, voice rising. "You dare use that word when you went behind Jungkook's back? Do you think he built all of this so rats like you could play their own game?" Your hands swept across the table, sending plates and glasses crashing to the marble floor. The maids rushing to the corners of the room, too terrified to intervene. "You disgust me," you roared, grabbing the nearest wine bottle and hurling it to the ground. Red liquid splattered across the white marble like blood, the shards spreading at your feet. The men flinched, but none dared to move. And then, you saw it, the glint of metal on the cabinet. Without hesitation, you pulled Jungkook's hand free, the weight of it grounding your fury as you held it up. The maids wept. "Madam, please," one cried out, clutching her apron as tears welled in her eyes. "Stay back," you snapped, the gun trembling in your grip, not from fear, but from the storm raging inside you. "If Jungkook can't keep his own men loyal, then maybe I should handle it myself." Mac raised a cautious hand. "Mrs. John, put it down. You don't want this on your hands. Let boss—" "Shut up!" Your voice cracked like a whip, eyes burning holes into him. "Do you think I'm scared of Gang Yapeng? Do you think Jungkook married some delicate little doll who'd hide when things get dirty? I've stood beside him long enough to know exactly what disloyalty deserves." The room shook with your words. The maids, trembling and pale, scrambled out of the hall, one of them fumbling with her phone. You barely heard her frantic voice through the haze of your rage. "Boss, it's Madam. Please come quickly. She's furious, sir. Please hurry." And then, faintly, through the maid's trembling hand as she held out the phone, you heard it. Jungkook's voice, low and steady, but with an urgency that made everyone freeze. "Don't let her do anything. I'm on my way." The call ended. You stood there, gripping the CA so tightly your knuckles whitened, shards of glass glittering at your feet, men staring at you in absolute terror. The storm inside you raged on, unstoppable. And all they could do was pray their boss would arrive before you pulled the trigger. The doors slammed behind him with a deep echo, and the entire room seemed to shift under the weight of his presence. Jungkook. Every man straightened, heads bowed instantly. The tension in the room bent to his will like a storm silenced at its master's command. But his eyes didn't move over the broken glass, the spilled wine, or even the terrified soldiers frozen in their place. His eyes went straight to you. You stood there with your back rigid, shoulders trembling with fury you hadn't yet released. "You win." His voice was softer than it should have been, too soft for a man who was feared by every enemy he'd ever crushed. Your jaw clenched, but you didn't turn. "He went behind your back, Jungkook. Do you expect me to stay calm about that?" He moved closer, slow, measured, the weight of his presence wrapping around you. Every step he took echoed in the silence. By the time he reached you, his hand slid over your wrist, not forceful, but steady, grounding you. "I don't expect you to stay calm," he murmured, leaning close so only you could hear, his breath brushing your ear. "I expect you to let me handle it. You don't need to carry that fire alone." You swallowed hard, your chest rising and falling as your anger fought with the calm he always forced onto you. His thumb brushed lazy, soothing circles into your skin. You hated it. You hated how easily his touch could still you when no one else in the world dared to come close when you were this angry. "I warned them, Jungkook," you said, voice low and shaking, your gaze still burning holes into the man who betrayed him. "If it weren't for you walking in right now, he'd already be dead." Jungkook tilted his head slightly, studying you with a dark, unreadable gaze, and then he chuckled, low, dark. But when his eyes met yours again, that laugh softened into something only you ever saw. "I know," he whispered, tilting your chin up with 2 fingers so you couldn't look anywhere but at him. "And that's exactly why I love you." Your lips parted, ready to snap back, to remind him you weren't joking. But Jungkook's eyes burned into yours, unwavering, holding you captive. "You carry fire in you, baby," he continued, voice low, deliberate. "But fire is meant to light the way, not to burn you alive. Let me be the monster. You just stay my queen." Then he cupped your face in his palm, thumb stroking across your cheekbone. "Save that fire for me, he added, ghosting across with a smirk that was both dangerous and tender. The fight in you melted, not gone, but controlled, caged by the one man who could stand in front of your storm and never flinch. Jungkook's hand never left the small of your back as he turned his attention away from you and toward the trembling men. His aura shifted in a blink. What was tender warmth for you became ice and steel for them. "On your knees," he ordered, voice sharp as a blade. The traitorous men dropped instantly, heads bowed, unable to meet his eyes. The sound of their knees hitting marble echoed through the hall. Jungkook's thumb brushed across your spine, subtle but firm, as if grounding you in this moment. "You see this?" he said softly, eyes still fixed on them, but speaking to you. "This is what disloyalty looks like. Weak, pathetic." One of the men dared to stutter. "Boss, please." "Quiet." Jungkook's voice cut through the air, silencing him instantly. He stepped forward, dragging you with him, making it clear you weren't just watching, you were standing with him. "You thought my absence gave you freedom." Jungkook's tone was calm, almost too calm, the kind that made skin crawl. "But loyalty isn't conditional. And betrayal? His eyes darkened, a ghost of a smirk tugging at his lips. Betrayal is never forgiven. You felt the men shiver, felt their fear like static in the air. 𝐸𝐴 glanced at you then, his dark gaze softening just a fraction. What do you think, my queen? Should they walk out alive tonight? Your lips curled slightly, fire flashing back into your eyes. You tilted your chin, voice low and sharp. Alive, but with a reminder. No one goes behind our back and walks away unscathed. 𝐸𝐴's lips curved into a smile, not amused, but proud. Exactly the answer he wanted. He snapped his fingers. Mac appeared instantly, awaiting orders. Take them to the basement, 𝐸𝐴 said coldly. Do as my wife said, alive, but let their screams remind every man in this house who they serve. Yes, boss. Mac bowed before signaling for the guards to drag the men away. Their begging voices echoed down the hall, but 𝐸𝐴 didn't flinch. Neither did you. When silence finally returned, 𝐸𝐴 turned to you. His eyes, once sharp with fury, softened as he cupped your cheek. You, he murmured, brushing his thumb across your, are fiercer than half the men I command. Loyal, fearless. You carry my empire like it's your own. His voice lowered, deep and sincere. Thank you for that. Your gaze softened, though your chin stayed lifted. I'm your wife, 𝐸𝐴. You whispered, leaning into his touch. It's not loyalty. It's what I vowed to be. The one who stands beside you, no matter what. For a moment, he said nothing, just stared at you like you were the only light in his violent world. Then, with the sharp exhale, he tugged you into his arms, holding you against his chest. You're mine, he murmured into your hair, the edge of possessiveness lacing every word. My queen, my fire, my only peace. His eyes locked with yours, a dangerous mix of dominance and tenderness. Let me remind you that you don't need to burn for me, baby. Just burn with me. And without giving you a chance to argue, 𝐸𝐴 swept you away from the chaos, carrying you upstairs, where only he could tame the fire that threatened to consume you.